Everybody wants a sexy business model, something they can post on Instagram about, brag about, something cool to talk about at dinner. An AI agency, wholesaling, crypto, drop shipping, coaching. Everybody wants a business that sounds good, right? Makes sense. Who wouldn't? But most of the money that I've seen gets made in the world comes from boring businesses. Paperwork, a recovery business, legal, data. Businesses where money is real, but the processes are annoying or difficult or long. That's why I love surplus funds. It's not sexy. It's not trendy. Most people never heard of it. I go to events all over the country, real estate people focus mostly, and I might be in a room of 100 people, maybe 2 or 3 people have ever heard about what I do. I think of that as my moat. I love that because they're all doing the same thing. And when surplus funds are done correctly, it solves a real problem for people who really need the help. And I don't have to sell them anything. I don't have to beat them up on a price. I don't have to offer them something below what they think is worth. I'm helping them recover funds that are rightfully owed to them or their family. I'm building trust, I'm informing and educating, and I'm offering a service to somebody who has no one in their corner. There's a difference there on the level of sales and the things that I've seen in other industries. It hits different. But here's what people really don't understand. Just because a business is exciting doesn't necessarily mean it's a good business or a good vehicle. Wholesaling sounds cool until you realize every broke dude in America is hitting up the same distressed owner absentee list with this same offer. AI agency sounds awesome. I love it. I'm an AI first guy. Our business is AI first. But it sounds cool until you have every 19-year-old out there pitching the same automation. Trading, love it. Some people are great at it. I wish I knew more. But it sounds really cool and sexy too as well. Until you realize the majority of people are just donating money. Coaching, I love it. But if you have no proof, no process, and no real transformations, who's gonna trust you or use you? Sexy businesses attract crowds. Crowds, they create competition. Competition is gonna kill margin. And when margin dies, what's really left other than a bunch of noise? A sexy business is gonna get attention. A boring business is gonna get you paid. A boring business usually has around 5 things that make it powerful. Not a fake internet plan, real pain. Somebody lost money. Somebody needs paperwork fixed. Somebody needs a claim filed or an attorney. Someone needs a problem solved that they cannot solve. And the process is annoying enough that most people avoid it. That's good. Friction is where the margin lives. Customers have to trust you because the issue is serious. That means amateurs are going to get weeded out very quickly. Even if they understand the fundamentals of the problem, they still need someone to actually move the file from A to Z in a professional, safe, and timely manner. This is why surplus funds fits this perfectly, almost to a T. Surplus funds is boring and it's not about looking cool, even though you get to have some very large checks. It's about reading records, documents, and verification. A property gets foreclosed on. It later is going to sell at a county tax sale or foreclosure auction. The debt gets paid. If there's anything over past the debt, that generates these surplus funds that are then held by that county agency. For example, if a home sells for $100,000 at the tax sale auction and there was only $75,000 worth of debt owed, it generates $25,000 that are then held by that government agency until the correct owner, former owner, or rightful heir recovers it. And if they don't, within a certain amount of time period that each county and state allows, it will get absorbed and used by the state for their own use and gone forever from that family. So there's real pain, there's a real problem, and there's an actual ticking timeline attached to every one of these cases. And behind every one of these cases is a family who actually needs your help. But it's not as easy as just finding the list, calling a name, and getting the sign up. You have to have the correct fundamentals before reaching out to anybody. You have to understand if that person is even the rightful owner to claim the funds. You have to verify the funds to see if they're still there. You need to verify chain of title so you know who to go after if that owner happens to be deceased or not the correct person. You have to have the correct documents to close these clients with so you can't get circumvented down the line or beat up by somebody else. You need to have an attorney partnership in that state you're working so you can hand it off and have it filed. There's court processes, there's county processes. And guys, I know it's not sexy. It's boring, but that's why it pays so well. We are making some people's yearly salaries off of one deal. The money is not knowing that the surplus funds list is on the county site. The money is being able to move the file from confusion to recovery. Now let's talk a little bit about why this model makes so much sense. In a lot of businesses, you have to sort of create demand. You have to convince somebody that they need your product. You have to fight for attention. You have to sell a dream. In surplus funds, this money already exists. The problem already is there. The person already has a claim to these funds, and the system already created the opportunity. The value is not the hype. The value is helping the rightful person or family recover these funds that they likely would have not been able to get on their own. We work on a success-based model. We put our money where our mouth is. The client is not coming out of pocket for anything. We assume all the cost and the risk. We do all the work with the state, county, and courts, and we only get paid once the money is successfully recovered. That's why our business has teeth. I'm not selling hope. I'm attaching my compensation to the result. A real business is not just how you get paid. It's why you deserve to get paid. A lot of people can't do this business, and there's a few reasons why most people fail. They treat records like leads. They see a name on the list, on the county, and they think they found the money. That's amateur hour. A name is not the money. The list is not the money. The file is not the money until the path is actually verified. They cannot handle distrust. You're calling somebody about money connected to a foreclosure. They may be skeptical, not maybe, they will be skeptical. They might be embarrassed about the time. They may have been contacted by 5 or 10 other people already. If you sound like an amateur or a scammer, you're toast, you're done. Also, people just don't follow up. They make 1 or 2 or 3 calls, maybe leave a message, maybe a text message, and then they stop and they act like they're never gonna find the person or the system doesn't work. Another reason why people do the paperwork wrong. There's a lot of different documentation on the internet out there, but you need real closing documents that are vetted by an attorney so you know that you're protected and that your client is actually being served compliantly. Another big reason people fail is they're addicted to fast money. Surplus funds is not a fast dopamine hit. It's a process like any other business. We're dealing with the courts. And if you've ever been to court for any reason, you understand that each and every court swims at their own pace. This business rewards adults. It rewards people who can stay organized, tell the truth, have a follow-up process, and keep moving forward when nothing looks exciting. The real reason boring pays, let me tell you. Boring pays because it creates barriers. You need to appreciate these and weaponize them. If the model requires patience, lazy people are out. If it requires paperwork, sloppy people, see you later. If it requires trust, scammers, get out. If it requires a legal process, cowboys are gonna get filtered out. That's why this creates so much opportunity, because it is hard, it's complex. There's multiple steps and every case is a little bit different. The barrier of entry is not that you need a certain amount of money. You don't need much. The barrier of entry is education and discipline. That's it. The moat is not technology. The moat's your competence, your drive, going through the hard steps, not taking shortcuts, and building a system that you can rinse and repeat. That's what we've done here in Surplus Funds. We're checking and verifying ownership and money. We're doing all of the due diligence beforehand before ever reaching out to a possible client. We know exactly who's owed the funds before we make a phone call. We're not guessing, we're not playing business. And that's the most important thing. You gotta take it seriously and you gotta follow your system. If you're gonna call somebody 4 or 5 times and then give up and never follow back up, go back next week, go back later, then get used to other people taking your closes and helping them out and getting your commission. And that's in any business, not just surplus funds. And there's a huge ethical angle here. And it's very important and I wanna touch on it. And let me be clear, this business only works long-term if you treat people correctly and fairly. These are not just leads. These are actual people and actual families. There's a significant amount of money being held that is owed to them, that they are trusting you to take care of for them to get to the finish line. Now, if you don't have the right education, the right team, or the right knowledge, you are putting them at a serious risk, and that is not okay. So you owe it to anybody that you reach out to understand the process, have the fundamentals down, and have a real legal claimant path for them if they choose to trust you to get their money back. Because you gotta remember, some of these people don't even know this money exists. Some of these people are family members of the deceased owner. So they're trusting you word for what you say most of the time. That's a huge responsibility and we don't take that lightly. If you need to trick somebody to make money, you don't have a business. You have a short-term hustle with a countdown. This is another reason why we believe in the attorney-backed business model, and that's the only one we use. Because when the money, the courts, ownership, heirs, and legal rights are involved, the process has to be done correctly. If you're a real operator, if you're a closer, this should seriously interest you. If you've sold cars, insurance, solar, mortgages, real estate, you're an investor, a trader, anything door to door, debt collector, you already understand something that most people don't. You understand rejection. You understand follow-up. You understand trust. You understand that the money is usually behind uncomfortable conversations. Surplus funds is going to give that skill a whole new different vehicle. This is not just a sales game. If you only know how to talk, but you can't verify anything, you're only dangerous in one way. The best person in this business is not just a closer. That's a big part of it, but it's a closer who has discipline. All you need is the mouthpiece and the microphone. Let me give you a quick example of a breakdown of a case. We had a woman, her father owned a property. It was lost years back. She knew about it, she knew about the foreclosure, but she had never heard of surplus funds, excess proceeds. She never got anything in the mail. No one ever reached out to her to let her know that her father's estate was owed funds. He owned the property outright and he lost it for a small amount of property tax. There was over $360,000 sitting in this county vault, ready to be escheated because she had no idea. We called her, had to educate her and inform her, and you can understand that she was extremely skeptical at first, especially she didn't know us from a hole in the wall, and we're calling to tell her that she's owed $360,000. Now stop and think for a second. What would you say if I called you and I said that? Immediately, your scam blinders are going up. That's fine. We lean into that. We weaponize it. We speak facts to them. We update them, inform them, explain exactly how this process happened, where the money is, and how we're going to get it back. We closed it up. It took about 100 days. We got her paid out, and she was absolutely, as you can imagine, just over the world with joy. Not only the fact that she got money, but the fact that her father was able to actually leave her something. Because at first, she didn't think that was the case, and he didn't have anything on paper other than that for her. So this was two major events, probably made her feel really great, and had some appreciation for her father after that, which we think is awesome. And there's hundreds of other examples just like that. That's one case. I think one reason why people really overlook the surplus funds business is because the internet has trained people to hate boring, to hate slow. Everyone's in this microwave generation. Sometimes you got to put it in a crock pot. They want a business that looks good on a screenshot, on an Instagram post. They want that Stripe notification. They want a new car now. They want to fake a day in the life video. They want the illusion. I want the check. And I don't care that it takes a little bit of time because I'm going to continuously fill my pipeline up, and then eventually the checks are never going to stop. And we're going to continue to help people. If you have that vision, if you're a closer, if you can speak to people, there's no reason why surplus funds should not be highly on your radar. They can all keep the aesthetics. I'll take the economics. So when I say boring businesses pay better than sexy ones, this is what I mean. Boring businesses involve solving real problems. They require a process. They filter out lazy competition. And boring businesses usually have better margins because most people don't want to do the work. Surplus funds is one of those businesses. It's not flashy. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's not for everybody. But if you can research, verify, communicate, follow up, and work through a process, this model can seriously change your life. It has for me. Everybody wants sexy until boring gets you paid. If you're looking for easy money, this isn't it. But if you're an operator, you want to learn, you want some mentorship and have a support team, reach out, book a call, let's chat. There's thousands of people out there who need your help, and we can do it together. Let's go.